I'm Allison Kane.
What are you not a fan of today, Miss Allison?
I am not a fan of all the stores that put the hollow chocolate Easter bunnies on clearance after Easter.
Why?
Because I love them.
You want a hollow and not a solid?
Yeah, it's the weird. All I eat is like super good, bougie, dark chocolate.
Yeah.
Except for that is, I think it's Palmer is the
Yeah.
brand. The Palmer in a box with the clear plastic cellophane and the little candy-eyed hollow milk chocolate Easter bunnies. They are my nemesis.
Oh.
And then when they're like 70% off, that doesn't help a girl out. I am not a fan of that, people. Tuck them away and sell them full price the next year.
So what I appreciate is that, like, I mean, you can play this really well, right? And you can tell your kids that, well, it's Easter Monday, not Easter Sunday. And then you get, like, super cheap Easter baskets for your kids. Think about those people.
True.
Right.
Yeah. There's that.
What about Peeps? Do you like Peeps?
No, gross. Ugh.
Like, I think there was it might be on YouTube, Children Not Try This at Home, where you could, like, light them on the fire. Or, like, if you put them in the microwave.
Oh, yeah, they blow up.
Yeah.
Kind of like Ivory soap.
Ivory soap blows up in the microwave?
Oh, my gosh. Okay, seriously, this is such a fun science experiment. It has to be ivory.
Uh-huh.
You get a bar of ivory, good old-fashioned ivory bar soap, and you stick it in the microwave, and it literally grows into this giant puff. It doesn't, well, I don't know, maybe it would explode, but we stopped it before that. But it, like, separates layer by layer, and then it's, like, real flaky. And I think some people then, like, turn it into dish detergent or some really, like, clever people. Like,
I'm not one of those
soap
people.
for their laundry and things like that.
Oh.
But we just did it for science and then threw it away.
Yeah, I would be afraid it ruined my microwave, but that's because,
It doesn't. And it's so satisfying to watch it.
How many times have you done this? We might need to.
No, we actually need to do a video of this.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's do it.
It's so much fun.
So, let's see. What am I not a fan of? Gosh. I mean, honestly, because we homeschool, I don't really love spring break because then there's people everywhere.
Yeah.
But actually, it's not that bad this year because COVID, so people were everywhere anyways, right?
But when you homeschool, you can go to spring break anytime you want.
I just mean they're in my town.
Oh, gotcha. Gotcha.
Like, don't y'all need to... Oh my gosh, so seriously, yeah. When schools went back,
Yeah.
shopping was insane. I'm not a big shopper, but even I noticed, like, the week school went back, Home Goods was jam-packed.
Oh,
At
women were
2
like,
o'clock,
woo,
yes.
woo, I can finally shop without my children.
I'm telling you, like...
That is funny.
Yeah, it was like, where are all these people? Oh, their kids finally went back to school.
And then there's people like me who just shop this whole time. For therapy.
Your kids are a little older.
I mean, I'd call all my friends and be like, in the middle of quarantine, hey, I'm bored. I need to go to Target. But I don't need anything. What can I get for you?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And then I'd deliver it to all my neighbors who were afraid to leave their homes. And it was kind of fun. It was like a ministry, but actually it was more for me than them.
Right?
Or it felt like it was more for me than them.
No, that's how serving is. Everyone gets something out of it, right?
Right. Speaking of serving,
Uh-huh.
today I thought we'd jump to Jeremiah 20, 7 through 10.
Oh boy. So
Oh, boy.
last week was fun. So let's see what this week's going to be about.
This made me so laugh. Again, I'm reading to you from the Message translation, but Jeremiah, bless his heart, he really had a tough job. You know, I mean, he was this prophet of God, which a lot of people think, well, it's pretty cool, right? But when you have to be the dude that like goes and gives all the doom and gloom messages because your people been like really turning away from God and living in a bunch of sin.
We need a Jeremiah now.
Yeah, we do, actually.
I didn't say that out loud, God. I mean, I'm sure there is somebody that needs to do that. It's not us.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
So Jeremiah was like the ultimate Debbie Downer, right? And sometimes I feel bad until I read the Bible, because I feel like you should have a better attitude. Like, you should be so thankful that God has called you to this and blah, 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 blah. Even though it takes you way out of your comfort zone, Allison, like, put on your big girl panties and make it happen. And then you read about other people in the Bible and they make you just feel so much better that you have these doubts and reservations sometimes. So I wanted to read this passage where Jeremiah is complaining to God.
Okay, I do that too, Jeremiah.
Yeah. Okay, it's so funny. You pushed me into this, God, and I let you do it. You are too much for me, and now I'm a public joke. They all poke fun at me. Every time I open my mouth, I'm saying murder or rape, and all I get from my God warnings are insults and contempt. But if I say, forget it, no more God messages from me, the words are like fire in my belly, are burning in my bones. I'm worn out trying to hold it in. I just can't do it any longer. Then I hear whispering behind my back. There goes old Danger Everywhere. Shut him up. Report him. Old friends watch, hoping I'll fall flat on my face. One misstep and we'll have him. We'll get rid of him for good.
Wow.
I mean, we
can kind of relate though.
Yeah.
For real.
So, yeah. Kind of some kindred spirits. That's why the Bible is fun to read. But, you're like, God, I'm so different because I follow you. And all these people make fun of me. And then I speak truth and people are like, judge you and talk about you behind your back. But if I don't do it, then I just feel like this fire within me. Like I can't not speak your truth when I'm following your ways. Like, dang it, you've just messed things up. Jeremiah, he's on the struggle bus.
Poor Jeremiah. He didn't really get a good message ever,
No.
And honestly, let's just look at, no one's going to be a fan of this, but we'll do it anyways. Let's look at the churches around here or just out here in America today. A lot of them are good, feel-good messages.
That's right.
The big ones are the good, feel-good, prosperous messages.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not really what God calls us to.
No. When you become a Christian, everything isn't all sunshine and roses after that, and you don't get everything you pray for.
Right? And this reminds me...
Especially a Tesla. Just saying.
What?
Just saying.
Did you pray for a Tesla?
I did not pray for a Tesla. I'm just saying. No, not me. But I mean, like, it's not all about that prosperity. Like,
Yeah. So, two things about that. Number one, our episode Big Kahuna, which was way, way, way back, was so good because we were talking about this. We were talking about the gracious and mercy and happy God versus the God of the Old Testament that was like, it was all of him, right? And so oftentimes we just want to focus on the happy stuff, but if we really want to grow close to God, we have to know his mercy and his rules and his heavy hand, if you will, right?
Yeah, we don't get to pick and choose.
Yeah, but I think so often we do, and we like base where we're going to go to church on that, right?
Right.
And what we're going to listen to. And we need to make sure that our kids are getting both sides too.
I think I've mentioned this before. I have totally felt just like Jeremiah. I mean, well, I was never a prophet of God, but in a situation where God had called us to switch churches, this was like over a decade ago, and people really got offended and took it personally when we moved churches. Like, to switch churches at that time made 0 sense to me.
Right.
0 sense. But I knew God was very clear about it for our family. And so here I am doing this thing, and I'm like, but it doesn't make any sense. But I did it. And then you get kind of backlash from people, and it's surprising. It's like, wait a minute.
Like, what do they do?
Just little things that they would say, like, just kind of not condescending, but, passive aggressive is a better word.
Right.
Or you'd hear like, oh, well, what was that about? Or, we can't believe that you did that.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, or people just got their feelings hurt.
Oh, that's really what it's about.
People got their feelings hurt because we were really involved. And I get that. It didn't make sense to me either, but it was kind of like, I am sorry, but it's actually not about you. It's about me and God.
I mean, like, that's what I was going to say. Did they go and pray to God about what you should do about your next church?
Yeah. I mean, like,
none of your business, yo.
But it is hard. to follow God's nudge. And when he called, I'm like, we've talked before about how I wasn't super keen on any public speaking.
Yeah.
And all of that. So God really calls us into things. And sometimes we can get frustrated and fight back and complain.
Yeah. You know what I think would be fun? I think we should get like a little air horn. And then whenever someone pulls a passive aggressive, just and just don't tell them what it's about.
Yeah. Kind of like Austin Powers. When he goes,
but I think an air horn would just really throw everybody off.
It would. That's what I do to Gypsy.
Yeah.
When she barks or jumps, I just spray that air on her.
No, I mean like the really loud air horn.
Oh, right.
We could have some fun one day just walking around and air horning people. I'm a fan of that, FYI.
It might be good therapy, just saying.
We might be surprised how many times we have to crank that thing up.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh.
So another question I thought about with this passage was, is it easier or hard for you to tell God exactly what you're thinking?
Well, it's not hard for me. Because I just kind of do that with everybody. And so God and I have an understanding that like, I'll just go ahead and say all my feelings and then he'll have a great conversation with me later that I'll have to repent for everything I said. But we kind of got our flow going.
I used to struggle with this. I used to have, we'd love to, first of all, let me interrupt here. We'd love to hear what you think and how you process this too. So send us a message on social media, but I used to struggle a lot more with this. I felt as if I kind of had to have everything tucked in and just right. This was over a decade ago. But I was kind of afraid to put it all out there with God. And now, like the closer that I've gotten with God as my relationship has grown, I mean, I want to keep a reverence and respect, but I also know he knows how I'm feeling. He wants me to express it. It would be like you and I sitting down. If I knew that you were angry at me about something or frustrated, but you weren't telling me, we were just having another conversation. It's like the elephant in the room. Yeah. And I would be offended.
Right.
Because it's like, well, I know this is on your heart, and he certainly knows stuff that's on our heart. And as friends, I would want us to be able to talk about it. Well, he feels the same way. It's 10 times deeper, 10 times stronger relationship with the Lord, or should be. And so I just began to realize that. And now I have to rein it in sometimes.
Right. I'm working on the reining in part.
It doesn't happen a lot. And sometimes I'm just like, okay, God, I give him a warning like he needs one. So I'm so funny, y'all. I'm so funny. Okay, I'm about to get ugly. I just need to get all this off my chest. And I just like, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, and I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to say that word when I talked to you. And I'm sorry. And forgive me.
I'm so
and
glad
this
I'm
is like
the only one that's apologized for some of the verbiage that I use.
And these are like all the things going on in my head. Like I warn him, but then I let it out, and then I apologize. So anyway, but God can handle it.
Right. I mean, like, it's better for it to come out than for you to hold it in and let it just linger in there and become bitter, because there is one person that operates well in our bitterness, and it is Satan.
Ooh, girl. Mm-hmm. Yes, he does.
And he will just keep fanning that flame, right?
He will.
And so it's better to get it out and then maybe have to ask for forgiveness than to let it just kind of linger in there. Because once I let something bitter sit, it grows exponentially.
Mm-hmm. It's like hair in a drain.
Wow.
Follow me here.
FYI, she's got really long blonde curly hair if you've not seen it. So I'm sure it's quite the problem for her.
It is. You know, if you clean out your shower drain, if you get the hair out, which my daughter doesn't do.
Oh.
You know, every other day or every day or so.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier.
Right.
But if you just let that long curly hair just keep going down that drain, and it starts to clog, then your sink doesn't drain. Then when you pull that gloppy, gross, moldy, slimy clog of hair out, it is so much harder. You got to get the screwdriver. You got to take the drain thing out. You got to dig it all out. It's gross. It smells.
It smells really bad.
Yeah. Just, like getting it out.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't linger. And it does, as you said, Satan uses it as a clog, as a blockade between you and the Lord and the relationship. Plus, why not talk about it?
Right.
God already knows.
Yeah.
Like, hello.
Is this thing on?
You know? It's not like when you're mad at your friend who's clueless about something you said that hurt her feelings, but she doesn't know until you tell her. Like, God already knows. So talk it out.
Right. Can you imagine what it's like to be like sitting up there as God, watching us kind of like stomping around and like so entertaining, right?
I mean, I did used to laugh at my toddlers.
Right.
You know, when mine were little and they're having their little hissy fit in the corner because you don't let them, like, have goldfish for breakfast or something. I don't know.
Can you imagine? We're just like that.
Yes.
God, I want that house.
Yeah.
I want that sippy cup.
I don't want this. I don't want to have the gift of speaking and writing. I want to sing in the praise and worship band.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, girl.
I mean, that's God. How funny.
I know he laughs a lot.
You got to, or else
you cry.
Right? Sorry, God.
And we know he cries some, too, especially from last time. He feels all the emotions.
All the feelings, man.
But certainly, he laughs a little.
Yeah.
You know? Like, yeah. When little kids, they are potty training, and they need to go to the bathroom, but they don't want to go to the potty yet, so they just go in the corner and go in their diaper, hide behind the chair or something.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I know what you're doing behind the chair. Come on out and let's go to the potty. But they won't. That is like me sometimes. God's like, come on out, Jeremiah, Allison, Melissa, come on out from behind the chair.
Stop hiding.
Stop hiding and go do your thing.
Let's deal with it.
We are literally toddlers.
Funny. So, what is something, speaking of I don't want that color sippy cup, what is something that you were just so adamant about? Because let's be honest, I know I can anyways. I can fabricate an answer from God in my head for what I want. Right? And also, because we are so crafty, we can actually get what we want, but then like stake it like, oh yeah, I think God wants me to have this because look, I have it. You know, you like show up to the finish line all tattered and beat up, and you're like, but God wanted me here. Probably not rolling in like that. He didn't.
Right.
So
you would have looked way more glamorous.
Right.
Nah.
So what is something
in your heart?
Maybe that
sometimes we do, even when we follow God.
Go ahead.
Sometimes I do feel like following God, I do still show up to the finish line worn out and tattered.
Oh yeah.
But my heart
right
is so much better and stronger, and the perseverance that he's given me makes me so beautiful, but in a different way from the inside out.
Right? You're like emanating.
Versus from the outside with nothing on the inside, which is hollow.
Yeah.
So, what is that something?
So what is there something in your life that you just knew that you were supposed to have this, but then you didn't get that because God has something else in mind, and now you look back and you're like, oh, thank you, Jesus.
Oh, I'm sure there's a lot. Oh my gosh. I feel like I don't know. That's big.
I mean, there's so many.
There's so many. I mean, I can go back years.
And they're life-changing events. Like to you, it was just, I really want, not you personally, but for me, like, I really think this house is perfect. I think God wants me to want this house. I think this house is going to be perfect because guess what? I'm going to use it for God's will. I'm going to take that barn and make it an events park and have women's ministry events in it. And then it didn't work. And I was like, well, God didn't want me to do whatever, right?
Right.
But no.
Mine would probably be, as I look back, relationships. Being in relationships with men that trying to fill a void that only the Lord could fill. Like looking for, well, I'm sure he just wants me to have this, you know, it doesn't matter if they're a Christian. It doesn't matter if it's unhealthy or whatever.
Well, because you'll bring him to Christ because you're so good.
Yeah, I can get them to know Jesus. I mean, shoot, back in the day, I probably didn't even care if they knew Jesus.
Right.
Like, why does the Bible say that anyway? That isn't relevant anymore.
Right.
You know, like, what?
Yeah.
And then you see now, like, years, fast forward 20 years later into my marriage, and you're in marriage ministry, and you see these women who would love to be in church with their spouses.
Yeah.
But they were making it work, man, even though the Lord warns us.
Right.
And now they're lonely and they're going in separate directions. And it's like, oh, you really do know what you're doing. I forgot that for a minute. I'm sorry about that, big fella. I'm sure Jeremiah felt like that some too. You know, like you have your moments where you want to have your pity party, you want to scream out and be a baby and a toddler. And then there are other moments where it's like, it's so worth it, God, because you have this relationship and you're close with Him.
Yeah, just remember
it's a tug of war.
Like, there's a lot more valleys than mountaintops.
Yeah.
Because you really develop your faith and your reliance on God, which is what we need anyways, right? Our personal relationship with God is developed more in the valleys than in the mountaintops.
Yes. And I would say, surround yourself. Not everybody can be this, but I hope that you have a couple of people in your life that we have been blessed enough to have people like this in our lives where they show so much grace and dignity in the valleys and so much humility on the peaks. You know?
Yes.
And that is so important, and I've learned so much from those people because it's so easy to fall over the peak off the top of the mountain.
Oh, wait, there's a cliff.
If you get too much in the flesh and forget the reason you're there and what you should do while you're up there. Yeah.
And I think we've talked about this before. I try to stay even keel. So I don't celebrate and I don't dive too far into the valley. I just try to stay even keel, which is not where God called us to be.
Yeah. We got to deep dive and we got to soar. We got to do both.
Yeah.
Prayers for that this week. Prayers for all of you, no matter where you are. If you're in the middle, if you're in the valley, if you're just living high on that peak right now, just may you feel God at work and sense His presence in a new way so that you just know He's with you and He's teaching you along the way and growing your relationship with Him. Yeah. So you're ready for the next thing. The next thing that's over the peak.
Right.
That's what He's doing in all of these areas, especially these valleys. He's preparing us for the hike up to the peak to enjoy and then move on to the next adventure. So here's to the next adventure.
I love it. See you next time on the Center and the Saint.